get in, and then you wanna get out. When you get the money to buy yourself a castle, how will you wear your leisure? You zipper back and front on the fence together.
Welcome to Yellow Brick Road. I'm Jordan. This is James, and today we're going to watch some religious type stuff. We're going to react to it. This is a fan request. I'm not very religious. I wouldn't call myself very religious. I am into spirituality, I would say. I definitely am. But I definitely find religious stuff interesting. So we're going to check that out. But first, please consider donating to Devon's Journey to Recovery. The link is in the description box, and the website is in the intro to this video and our past videos. Please donate, guys. If you love us, you'll do that. You'll donate. We're not making any money off this. We beg you. Donate Devon's Journey to Recovery. Link in the description box. It's a GoFundMe account. Blessings. All right. So this video was requested by one of our commenters. I don't know if they're religious or not. I'm guessing they are for requesting this. But at the same time, this is a 1 million viewed video. So maybe he's just interested. He or she's just interested. I'm definitely interested in religious type stuff. So should I lay out some caveats first?
See?
All right. If you're not religious and you're not into this stuff and you're super atheist, please don't be offended. If you're super religious and you're into Islam in particular, please don't be offended. If you're easily offended, please don't be offended. We will give our honest opinions on this stuff, and it may get wacky. It may get woo-woo. It will get woo-woo. So here we go. Here's our reaction to Signs of the Last Day, Minor Signs, from the channel Merciful Servant. Very religious already. All right, here we go. Yeah, we need graphics like this to start our videos off.
Make me entertained. Make you bored.
Signs of the last day. Things that the Prophet Muhammad said that would happen before the end of time. And of course, the first thing the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, the first thing that he said would be, the first of the signs of the last day is his death. And that last day is soon upon us. And that's what the Prophet said then, 1,400 years ago. How close must it be now? Let's look at some of the things the Prophet Muhammad, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, said in various narrations. First of all, the Prophet Muhammad mentioned that amongst the signs of the last day is that you would see the barefooted Bedouins compete with each other in building tall buildings. This is remarkable, because I invite anybody to look and go and visit Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain. These are places where 60 years ago, I remember when I was in Kenya and they were complaining how there was no more money coming from Saudi Arabia after 9/11 and so on and so forth. And they were saying, well, 60 years ago, we used to send money to Saudi Arabia to help the orphans and the madrasas there. Now you will find the people who only 60 years ago were barefooted Bedouins competing with each other in who can build the tallest building in the world. In fact, it said there's going to be 6 of the tallest buildings in the world in Dubai in the years to come. This is something the Prophet Muhammad was predicting 1,400 years ago. It is.
Now, I don't know too much here. I think he said something like the barefooted people. I guess that means those particular nations or cities or whatever. I'm thinking a lot of like oil money helped with Saudi Arabia as opposed to 60 years ago. Dubai. What's there? What's in Dubai? Something's important in Dubai. I'm not sure.
Don't know.
I'm not sure exactly. So we are walking blind right now, reacting to this video.
I wouldn't say that.
I'm walking pretty blind. I'm just taking the words as this guy says it, as opposed to actually reading the passages and understanding. So we're basically taking this guy's word for it and then making an interpretation.
I'm not. I already have an idea on some of these things.
Well, yeah.
Truly a sign of the last days. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam also mentioned that the mosques would become like palaces. And this is the case even though the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam ordered simplicity in the houses of Allah. The fact is that they've become more and more fantastic, and more money is being spent on these mosques with domes and floors and golden domes and floors and everything to match, with so much lavish chandeliers and carpets like palaces.
That reminds me a lot of Christianity.
Yeah.
And like the story usually said Jesus turning over the tables of the
Yeah.
the money guys. He's like, "What the fuck are you
Oh,
doing?"
I think it was the tax collectors. I believe.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah. So apparently Muhammad is into the same thing, where it's like we should be keeping things simple. It's about maybe the spirit instead of extravagance and big giant mosques or churches.
What was it when Jesus said in one of the passages, or whatever? It's like, I am here as well as here.
Yeah.
It's like, why do you have, like, you guys don't have to worship.
Yeah, split a piece of wood and I am there.
Yeah.
Or the kingdom of heaven is within you.
Yeah.
Why do you need a church for?
That's it. That's what I was looking for.
So it's like,
No, we need a lot of money to put in this one place. Make it very what's the word I'm looking for? Very over the top. We'll have what's it called? What I call you? The super church?
yeah.
Mega church.
Mega churches.
It's like what the
they look
fuck
like
is
stadiums,
this?
basically.
Yeah.
So.
It's like.
All right. So far, I'm a little shaky on the prediction things because they can be vague, and also it's another guy reading them for us rather than us reading the text itself.
He's not giving me a specific, like it says here, right here.
Yeah.
And as well as you could interpreting the text.
Yeah.
So it's like, Jesus cured the blind.
Yeah.
It's like, what does that really mean?
Oh, when you talk about
does it mean like literal blindness, like I can't physically see, or
like in the beginning of this, where you talk about Muhammad's death?
Yeah.
Like his death will signal something. Does that mean literal death? Does that mean something else?
It's supposed to be metaphysical.
Yeah.
So, a lot of
So, with the prediction things, it's always going to be wishy-washy for me. I look more at things that can be grounded throughout any period of time, and that's moral stories, parables, metaphors, or direct lessons. If you can touch on morality, it passes throughout time. There is no time limit on that.
Yeah.
But when it comes to predicting the future, then it's like, okay, is this the event, or is it 10 years later, or is it 20 years later, or is it 100 years later, or is it going to happen at all? I like the concrete things when I look at religious ideas, and that's morality to me, or the human condition. Let's continue.
As the Prophet ﷺ said would happen. Also, the Prophet mentioned that trustworthiness would disappear, so much so that a person would be able to say, I know a trustworthy person in such and such town. I ask you yourself if maybe that is not the case today. Also,
that can be interpreted in many ways.
Yeah, there'd be a decrease in trust. Just I guess as an on average thing, like less and less trust between peoples.
I'm just saying I'm going off of this guy's word.
Now, once again, I look at it as a time thing, and it's too wishy-washy. You might be able to say that about any period of time in humanity, that like, oh, people were never trusting each other. So that's too wishy-washy. It's not direct enough for me.
Which is why I like looking back at the original. Like, where'd you get this from?
Yeah.
Oh, you got it from here. You're quoting it from here, and it's translated into these words.
Yeah.
And you find out like one word can mean 3 different things. Even so, like you guys, is this metaphysical or is this literal?
Yeah.
What are the properties of this? Versus the end of days. Like a song. It's the end of the world as we know it. Oh God, apocalypse. That's not what I meant. Not what I meant.
So, once again, doing the time thingy, I can't get grounded in it. I need some morality there. Let's hear if there's more.
The Prophet mentioned that there will be an increase in killing. The Prophet called it harj, to the extent that the one who is being killed and the one who is killing, they don't even know. The one who's being killed doesn't know why he's being killed. The one who is killing doesn't know why he's doing the killing.
So, that's interesting. It's very interesting. Sort of like, it reminds me of The Dark Knight, when the Joker and his goons put the hostages in the clown masks.
Yeah.
And they put the goons in
pit them against each other.
Doctor outfits.
Yeah.
So when the SWAT comes in, they're looking at the clowns to shoot. And Batman's the only guy that sees the truth. He's like, no, the clowns are the hostages. So that there's some truth there, I would say. As in people creating an idea of another person in their own mind, and then sometimes people act on it.
Mm-hmm.
That happens a lot with what people call racism or xenophobia or something. Like, they see a guy in a turban walking outside their house, they immediately have an assumption about him. And then if you take that same dude with the turban on and put him in the Middle East, now you even have an even more of an assumption about him. So it's like, I can see that, but once you put it and start putting it in time frames, like this will happen at this point.
It's like 1, then 2, then 3.
It gets too wishy-washy. But if you look at it just as an idea of the human condition in any time period, that's what makes it interesting.
Yeah. But again, right, with a lot of these, I'm just gonna say this now. It's like I could say this at the end, but I could say it. I'd rather say it now. It's like with a lot of these things that people like get lost in the literal sense of the word.
Well, they get
rather than it being like flowery language.
Well, they usually get lost on the wishy-washy things rather than the grounded things.
Like if there's a specific text, right, and it's perceived as like a prediction or something like that, rather than it being like this is what's gonna happen, this is what has been happening. Although, let's say the war of something, and it can be translated into multiple words, but then one of them is ideas.
Mm-hmm.
The war of ideas. A war of ideas will come about. It's like, yeah. I mean, like me saying it, I understand what that means, and it will. But if I'm not being specific, see, I can put it in many different I can put it in many different ways. I could put it as far as context, as far as the individual
and time periods
as well. Yeah.
You could say the war of ideas happened in this year.
Well, here.
Or you can say it will happen. Or you can say it's happening now.
It could be one person.
Yeah.
Just one. Yeah,
an individual with himself.
All right. Just wanted to, that way, I won't have to stop it.
Right.
I think this is describing the condition of some cities today, where kids are shooting people. The person has no idea why he was shot.
See, once you bring in ideas like spirituality, for me, I have to take it further than just physical killing. I have to take it to mentalities, as in person judging person just by looking at them.
Yeah.
Like that's someone taking shots at someone.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
It may not be out in the public where everyone sees it, but it's still whether or not you're imagining killing someone and actually killing someone. It's like, right?
Like you're thinking about it.
Like thinking about it with the intention, like
it's just as bad.
If I wouldn't go to jail for this, I'd fucking do it. Like that type of thought.
Yeah.
And then someone really doing
It's
it.
like the people forget, right?
I'm like, if you're going spiritual, you have to take that into account.
Yeah,
100%.
just like the Batman movie, first one in the trilogy. He
Yeah.
had the gun, gonna kill him, gonna do it, loaded,
Mm-hmm.
concealed under his hand. He's walking towards the Joe Schilling guy, right?
Yeah.
So funny.
I don't know if he looks like Joe Schilling. I don't know about that. Does he look like Joe Schilling? I don't know about that.
I thought his name.
Oh, really? I thought you were talking about the fighter, Joe Schilling.
I could have fucked that up.
I don't know.
Joe
his name.
Chill. Joe Chill, not Schilling. My fault.
I'm
Chill.
All right. I never knew the guy's name.
My fault. I'm like, what's his name? There's some sort of deeper meaning here. That's why your name is.
Walking out the courtroom like kickboxing and shit.
Yeah.
It's Joe Schilling.
Anyway, yeah. Some other person walked up to him and shot him because he fucking squealed and shit.
Yeah.
Or he ratted somebody out. Then it's like, oh, you were gonna kill him.
Yeah.
Like you thought about it, you planned it out, you're about to do it.
And
You forget. Well, he
and
didn't
he
do
knows that, and he eats the shit of actually killing the
Yeah.
person, which is beautiful art.
It's just a movie, man. It's like, it's an idea, you fuck. It's an idea.
Yeah.
So, whether it be on a piece of paper, and being acted out as far as being represented through like actors, it's an idea. So it's real.
Mm.
It's like, come on. It's not real, man. I can't smell it. I can't touch it. It didn't happen.
Yeah.
My five senses can't see it. It's like, fuck, guys, come on.
Yeah. Let's continue.
All an experience. Jesus.
In fact, people are being shot merely just to prove themselves or for any type of madness that you can imagine. Not even to mention the massacres of so many people that is taking place due to terrorism, whether it is the terrorism of countries or the terrorism of organizations or individuals.
Once again, people do that in their own minds. They do that.
Sure,
They
it's
commit
self-harm.
Yeah. It's
It's
literally like the movie Inception, where
Mm.
it's like in your dreams there's a whole city of people, and if something weird happens, they all turn and look. They're like, oh, that's your subconscious.
Yeah.
It's like you picking off people in your own city.
Yeah. Start chasing you and shit.
Yeah.
Ooh. No different than literally, oh, I'm stupid. But then no one hears you, right? They're gonna walk up to you and arrest you? Like, you're harming yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
You need your own police officer in your mind. You need your own champion in your mind.
Well, that's, if you don't have that, then
That's a lot of people.
yeah.
That's a lot of people. Once again, this is not to take away from actual external tragedies.
Well, don't
It's
you
just-
see how this translates?
Let's just not throw away the internal tragedies that happen as well.
Well, that has to take place before.
If we're talking about a spiritual
Right.
thing, you have to consider the internal.
That has to take place. That has to take place before any of these things. It's one thing to have an accident, but even that itself, right? You call that somewhat of a tragedy for some, like the ignorant man, with the boiling pot of water just running around. Like, you didn't think it hurt anybody? I didn't think of it. Fuck. And it's like this whole thing is taking place right now.
Yeah, and with things like this, like military type of tragedies,
Mhm.
I think the internal tragedy happened a while ago.
Oh no, it had
And
to.
then
It had to.
You had to have your ego cleared out and fractured to where someone else can pick up the pieces and get you to march down some road
Yeah, sure.
with a gun, or to
Even if you're in La La Land, your whole life you've been like in your wonderful playroom, then all of a sudden you've been exposed to a man burning alive outside screaming, and your daddy said, "Don't worry about it, he's fine." It's like, huh?
yeah.
Now you've been exposed to that.
Oh, a fractured ego. I would. That's how I would define it. Something where the
What I mean
pieces are
is-
not ordered in a. From
It's like-
yeah, good.
Well, to something like that happening, even though I'm cookie cutting it a little bit, but it's more of like an example. It's like now you can't look back. Now it's up to you what you do now.
Yeah.
So if you just follow daddy, it's like, oh, it's like a mirror. Someone takes like a mini sledgehammer and just goes, psh. Then so not like probably a more a tragedy as far as what the individual perceives it to be. Like, it's happening to me now. It's like that. It's like another sledgehammer hits that mirror, then all the pieces fall. It's like, you gonna glue it back together. So it's like,
Yeah. Continue.
Shouldn't really make a difference. It's all terror. When women and children and innocents get killed, it's
Maybe more
terror
like a
by the
castle,
hands of whoever it is.
but also the
People do
representation
not
of the
know
oneself
why they're
being
killing or
completely
why they're being
crushed.
killed. To such an extent that it is unimaginable, just as the Prophet Muhammad predicted 1,400 years ago. Also, the Prophet mentioned...
I do agree with this guy's sentiment that it doesn't matter what you call it. It's like, this is a horrible thing. Like, that's,
it is.
That's the way of saying it. Like,
It's awful.
Whether it's terrorism from countries or from groups or whatever, militias.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter. Whatever you call it, you don't even have to give it a name.
Yeah.
We know this is like some fucked up thing. All right.
that there would be the increase in the use of riba, which means usury, interest, credit cards, mortgages, things like that. In fact, to the extent that no one would be able to escape the dust of it. Everybody will be affected by it. And this...
Essentially, you know, as far as the way society is constructed and whatnot, you're a slave.
Yeah.
Good luck. Good luck surviving, as well as, you know, having your family survive without conforming to this. You gotta get a job to survive. Your life is, like, you know, literally structured around it, like a system of currency. To a certain degree, as far as, all right, man, I need money to buy food. Like, see, that's fucked up.
And it all seems like debt based.
Yeah.
Like he's saying, like it's like debt based.
Yeah.
You can almost look at like a homeless dude's like, I don't want to work, I just want to live my life or whatever. It's almost like you owe society a debt in order to keep living.
I know.
It's like,
What?
you owe us money, and if you want this food, you owe it to us.
Yeah.
in
With
order to
interest.
live. Yeah. I don't know about that. Indirectly, sure, but not directly there.
You can apply it in many different ways.
It's sort of a one-to-one exchange. Here's money, give me food.
Think of it like, we're gonna put a tax on this.
Now, if you wanted to keep going, I think that's when interest will
That's
start
what I meant.
coming in. Yeah. Oh, you want a house too, do you?
Yeah, it's odd, right? See, I remember like working in certain places, you know. So if it's more like if you're familiar, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I know you.
Yeah.
All right. You'll get like, let's say $8.20 an hour. You get $8.20. All right, you worked 5 hours today. Here's $8.20 times 5. All right, I don't know you. We're gonna have to deduct some of this shit, you know. You know how it works, tax and whatnot, you know.
Yeah.
Huh? So it's interesting, right?
Yeah.
Hey guys, you don't have to do this. No one should
Yeah.
feel like, you know, I can't live here, or at least the majority of the world, without feeling like, unless I give up half of my life to just be able to fucking drink some water and eat some food, and not be as far as completely exposed to the outside, to the as far as nature, as far as like cold weather or hot temperature or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, you're gonna have to give up your life. It's reality. Whoever tells you that's an idiot. As far as that goes. I'm
Yeah.
being very specific when I say that, and I am not trying to be broad. They lack the understanding of what should be. So whenever you hear something like this, it's like, don't you guys see? Like, it's just religion. I'm like, no, assholes, there's wisdom here. It's funny how they're like, right? You look at the Quran. What was it for Judaism? What is it specifically?
Torah
Torah, the Bible.
or Old Testament.
You know, you can keep going as far as other cultures, like scriptures or
Yeah.
writings. There's all wisdom there. It's
Yes,
funny how
there
they're
is.
all very, very similar in nature, as far as morality, doing the right thing, spirit, soul, what,
I think there's a
kingdom.
historical sense in all these books, and also a metaphysical sense in all these books.
Oh sure.
And you should, and me personally, the things I've read, like you can almost tell when it's like, okay, here's me talking about history and society,
Yeah.
and then here's me talking about, oh, the Spirit of God, the Holy Spirit,
Yeah.
or whatever, your karma, all these things like that.
It's like,
You can almost tell the difference, but you know. All right.
This is without doubt the truth of the world economy today. The whole world economy is affected and controlled by banks and the use of interest money. Even though in Islam it is totally prohibited, even though in Christianity, up until the 16th, 17th century, riba was forbidden in Christendom as well.
So this is the interesting part, right? When you talk about Christianity or whatever other religion, there's a certain point in history where something else is added or edited. You know?
Yeah, cutoff dates.
Sure, like cutoff dates in history, specific scriptures or books being left out of the religion or the system itself, right? So it's funny, you know, some people. So hey guys, is it kind of easy, or is it safe to assume that people are gonna fucking compromise in order to get some sort of gain?
Yeah.
You know. So hey guys, capitalism. Are you a Christian, sir? Yes, I am. Like, hey, did you know? You know, if what he's saying is true, up until then, this was considered a sin or forbidden.
Yeah.
You, sir, you practice Islam? Yeah, I do. Ah. See how, see this right here? You see how it's forbidden?
Yeah.
Going off what you said, and would you say for some Jewish people?
Is it like I don't know if this is 100% true, but
okay.
I believe they can't charge each other interest.
Okay.
I believe they can charge other people that are not Jewish.
Okay.
But they can't charge other Jews.
Allegedly.
That's just something I've heard.
You heard it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey. Maybe it's safe to assume that as far as it being practiced.
Yeah.
Because from what I just heard, it's like, oh, you guys do that too, or it did. So someone's like, get rid of this. So right, if you look at specifically the books being left out of the Bible, like the Gospel of Thomas,
Yeah.
and it talks very, very specifically in a very specific flowery language about the individual. You know, oh. No, we have to get rid of that. Get rid of that.
It's flowery, but it's very blatant at the same time.
Get rid of this. We have to make sure it's something separate. It's something greater than you. It's like, now we're cutting ourselves, but you can't even see it.
And those books were hidden away. They discovered them in some random place.
It's
in
creepy, right?
I think the 40s or something like that.
That's scary, man.
And it's like
somebody.
how'd you guys know these are heretical? You just found them.
Somebody buried that. Somebody kept them
sure.
away. I guarantee.
Or someone stole them and
even so
looted them and put them somewhere.
It's very easy. I don't want. Let me reword that. I would say again, it's safe to assume that there's a group of people out there that would stunt that type of stuff.
100%. They don't.
The
church does not want that shit out there.
Come on. You telling me? All right, I'm just gonna be honest, real here. A fuck boy like the Pope, that old fucking asshole, is wearing a goddamn crown and a fucking cape, and you know what I'm saying? Fuck you old shit. These fuckers are
He could be a child too.
I don't give it.
Some could recognize it and still be assholes, but some could just be, oh, this is ceremony. This is what you do.
Here's the shit, though.
Oh, you're a child.
I call him corrupt. And it's as far as, even though it's the ego sense of very shallow, I probably shouldn't be doing this, but the truth is, if he knew what he was doing was wrong, then he wouldn't be doing it. So I would say, oh, you don't know. But the point is, it's to the degree of you that you made a choice, but not really, because you don't know. Anyway, love thy neighbor. Something that's right there. People can fucking say it. I'm sure that's very, as far as a culture of people.
Yeah.
Culturally, it's oh, I know that came from here. Ooh, I haven't read the whole fucking thing. I don't know word by word, but I know that one. Hey, Pope, do you know that? You do too. So how come whenever you fucking walk outside, you announce that you're gonna fucking grace us with your goddamn presence and shit? With your old wrinkly ass and liver-faced bitch face. You know what I mean? It's people are reaching out with their hands like this and screaming. It's that's a problem. How come the fucking everything that you wear?
You could be a child, though.
You get my point, though. So it's easy to see how all these things, which is why I don't look at it as oh my god, this is happening right now. It's yeah, this could have been happening back then.
Yeah.
This could have been happening for a long time, and someone decided to write something in flowery language. This is you know what I'm saying? Like philosophy.
Yeah.
Or someone writing down something that has meaning, like an analogy, but it's not literal. So you're gonna do the work. I'm not just gonna tell you. I can't even tell you anyway.
Yeah.
I want you to do the work. That way you can what's the word? Break this down to understand what I really mean. Like walking on water, even though it's somewhat blatant. Fish. Blindness.
Well, once again, I think it gets mixed up because of historical type things.
Sure, but even this,
like
right?
leprosy was around. Fucking fish.
The Holy
was by
Spirit?
their food.
The Holy Spirit.
Yeah. Even that one, they don't have a concrete thing of it, unless you go to the apocryphal or heretical gospels.
Fair enough.
To where they get a little more concrete.
My point is, though, it's like you can easily see how some things are contradicting. Like,
yeah.
It's literally like, how can I describe it? Imagine this.
We just heard it. Already.
Instead of two circles, like a black circle, a white circle moving so fast where it's just kind of one thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just literally just standing like this. Oh, you can see it. Somewhat contradicting, you know? Night and day. So it's like, guys, no excuse. Not for this.
Yeah, well, that one dude, Hunter Match, on the Joe Rogan clip we were watching, brought up, like, well, they don't want gay people around, but at the same time it says love thy neighbor.
Yeah.
So it's like...
So, to a sense, you know, what is true love? What is truly, you know, love? What is it? As I'm asking you to define it, I mean... I can tell you right now, telling a group of people they can't do something because they fucking love someone else, regardless of whatever that they claim to be, you know, is love. You can't do that. Or we bombed them because we loved them enough.
Well, that's what I mean by the separation of historical, social things and metaphysical things.
Sure.
That's why I believe that's why Jesus spoke in parables.
I get criticized
because you can't talk about the spirit so directly. It's kind of difficult to do.
Well, even to a sense,
in order to have people actually understand.
I prefer that, to be honest. Unless someone's like, "What do you mean by that?"
I prefer a movie too.
Like, okay, man, let's go fishing. Come on. Hey, he's walking. You can do it too. Come on.
All right, let's continue.
Literally, like, hold on, real quick. It's literally like, you know, it's like no one makes the first jump. Nobody. Okay, I can do it. I got this.
Yeah.
See how? No. Oh no. Don't see how that's okay. All right.
Let's continue.
Let's just hide behind this rock.
But yet today, it is something that controls the world economy to the extent that no one can escape it, just as the Prophet Muhammad predicted 1,400 years ago. The Prophet also said that there will be an increase in literacy. In fact, so many people will be able to read and write, but actually knowledge will decrease.
So that's interesting, right? But what I like to see, I would love to see specifically, like, you know, like where'd you get that from? Because I could take, as far as what I think of that right now, it's somewhat accurate, you know. As far as knowledge, yeah. I consider knowledge as far as that word. I consider when I hear him say knowledge in that context, I'm like, okay, wisdom. What's true wisdom versus?
But I know how to repeat this because I basically memorized it. I'm smart.
It's like, I can do that too.
That's a very interesting point. That makes me think of Jesus talking about poverty, or like blessed is the poor. To me, that means like
they are the
meek that shall inherit the earth.
Yeah,
that makes me think of almost like an ignorance. Blessed are like ignorant type people because they're closer to spirituality than the guys who have ego, mental gymnastic, that shit out of the way. Like someone commented on our Jared Taylor video saying like, well, Jared's highly intelligent, so that makes me think he's an atheist because you can do all the mental gymnastics to push any type of supernatural or metaphysical idea away.
I mean, that doesn't mean shit.
Because you start fucking hoarding on out here information.
You could be a Christian man, you know. You could be a Christian man, or a guy that practices Islam, or Judaism, or Buddhism, or whatever. Point is, it's like, well, so it's like a choice, you know. Intelligence isn't like a direct route, you know.
Yeah.
Like if I follow this path, that means this. No. You are the way.
Yeah.
And I mean that in the truest sense of like, you know, who or what specifically.
Yeah. So consuming external content can pull you further away from yourself, but that would be just your ignorance of that type of thing. You should be bringing yourself with.
It's odd
while
enough, right?
experiencing that.
Where someone can make the argument if you like of all three. I'd say they're the most popular now. Judaism, Christianity, and you know Islam.
Yeah, they're the NFL,
right?
NBA, and MLB.
It's odd, right? Because I truly I feel as if one really does the work as far as taking what they are right now, word by word, not literally, right? Figuratively, as far as looking at analogies as they are, in my opinion. Like that sounds like an analogy. That's a metaphor. And then not as well as why not talk to people that can like translate a word three different ways, you know. Okay, with the way this sentence goes, you know, and the way that this word can translate in three different ways. You see how it makes more sense and it won't contradict this thing over here that's said in this other page? How it means this over here. So if one does that, right, and one truly understands what's being said here as far as, you know, you could even say like, or you could say unlocking the individual that's underlying the potential.
Well, I don't think people should be approaching religious books without bringing yourself with you.
What I meant was as far as interest.
You need your decipher code.
What I meant was an interest. So like someone who's already like, you could say healthy to a certain degree, where it's like, we look at this. What's like, you know what I'm saying? Like if a Batman archetypes, it's like what is this about? Truly, you know?
Yeah.
And then you could argue, oh, you know, well, I'm more of a, you know, the idea of what a Christian is merely, you know, isn't really like more of like a label. It's more of a, oh, it really means this. It means just an individual. But which means like, you know, I don't call myself that. You know, someone said, oh, you're Christians. You're Islam over here. Oh, you guys are Jewish, Judeo, or whatever the fuck. You know what I mean?
Jewish.
Well, you know, it gets a little weird, right? Because people think it's an ethnicity or whatever the fuck. I just commonly go by the, oh, do you practice this religion?
Okay.
So it's really odd, right? Because a lot of them, right, we're talking about individualism, love, truth, etc., etc. So it's like, how can you just group that?
I don't know.
It's odd, right? Like, oh, the guys that you could actually call Christians, not the pseudo. I call them pseudo Christians or pseudo this that. You know, because it's like, are they really that though?
You call them weekend warriors. They adopt it for a weekend.
Possibly, because there's some of them are very, as far as the fundamentalists,
and they don't love it enough. Yeah. They don't love it enough to question it.
I just like to say pseudo only because of the fact that you're not really doing the actual work that it's saying. You're not taking it upon yourself to look at these things, you know. You're letting a dude. They
don't love it enough to break it down. Right?
Yeah.
There's no perfect.
The weekend warrior is the one that the loudest man in the room, in my opinion.
There's no perfect wife that just stands in front of you, right? You break down levels and you learn. It's like an onion, right? You peel back layers, you start learning shit.
Yeah.
All right, let's continue.
You know, Pod Piper. Did I say that right? Pied Piper?
Pied Piper.
Pied Piper. Then you got.
I don't know if that term works here.
I meant specifically the weekend warriors.
Okay. Yeah.
Over here, this is the way.
Yeah. All right, let's continue.
Difference, you know? Yeah.
Isn't that a type of paradox? More people will read, and what do we end up reading? Most of us, we read rubbish. We read rubbish stuff. But we can read, but knowledge, especially knowledge of the religion, despite the fact that more people can read, ignorance has become prevalent. And this is what the Prophet ﷺ said, that religious knowledge would decrease. not by the books disappearing, not by, knowledge being taken from the minds of the people. No, the knowledge in the sense of the books will be there, but the scholars, so that only ignorant people will remain. And people will ask them for religious verdicts, and they will give it, even though they are ignorant, and they will misguide themselves and misguide others.
Yeah. But also, who's the person calling the other person ignorant? They can be like, I'm reading the book right, and you're reading it wrong. Make it also turn into that scenario.
War of ideas.
So if you mean true knowledge versus true ignorance, then you have something. But if you're just going based on, they don't follow this rule correctly, it's like, then I'm going to like...
I don't mean to ramble, it's just, I'm going to feel a type of way if I don't say, fully everything I meant.
Okay.
So it's like, whether it takes 30 minutes or whatever, I mean, hey.
The mind of James. We keep running in circles, don't we?
What?
What?
What does that mean?
No,
circles.
You say one idea in a circular type of way. Okay, it's like this. And what I mean by that is, but it's kind of like this.
Think like this. You start here. You do this. You go down. Keep going. Like those little mazes and shit. I'm gonna go as much as I need to.
Maybe.
I would know.
Well, intention for sure. But outside listening, and it's like, But let's continue.
If there's enough care.
Anyone acquainted with the Muslim world
Would it
today
matter?
will be familiar with this. And the Prophet mentioned the speakers will be many and the scholars will be few. And this is what we can find. Exactly. There are many speakers, many thinkers, many intellectuals, many people, alhamdulillah, giving da'wah. Maybe not enough people, but the scholars, they are so few. And this is a type of sign of the last day, that the scholars will be taken away. And this is exactly what we find happening.
So it's one person's like idea of what's perceived to be like, what's someone who's wise, And I consider someone who's wise, very simply. Oh, you understand the difference between right and wrong, like you know it. So instead of those guys, you get the guys, who will speak on a podium. And by that I mean, right, my way is the way over here.
I look weary at the people who try to who are trying to intellectualize the words that are in the books. When they're trying to intellectualize the words, like it means this, it means this, it means this, it means this. If I don't hear a teacher or scholar or intellectual, whoever, if I don't hear themselves in their statements, I'm already off the train. I'm like, oh, well, if you have this soul thing, shouldn't that be brought to the table when you're talking about this stuff?
Well,
that might actually be the decipher. That might actually be the how people can hear you in a spiritual way.
It's a must. And if it's not, then it's like, I'm not saying you should totally be disregarded, but don't take this man seriously.
I'd take it as a study of the words being said.
Sure. But that alone.
Like, oh, when was this word said?
Yeah.
Okay, we're...
But know what that, know what this guy's here for, Oh, you're here to decipher, decipher the words. That alone.
And in others, to decipher the meaning.
Sure. But wouldn't it be better if they did both? Right?
Yeah.
Because, right, if we're trying to break down, right, this word means this. As far as the Syrian, I've seen him do this multiple times, He'll break down what a word means, origin of the word. It could have 3 different meanings as far as, where it was, where it came from, or most likely where it was adopted from.
Yeah.
And then the meaning of that, and then some metaphysical ideas with it. As opposed to individual, meaning this. Everybody read it.
He does it in an esoteric type of way, to where it's not really, like strictly literary, like academic, literary type shit. It's in I don't know the word for it. I use esoteric, but I mean like look at M. like MT. Do you see that? Like he'll
Yeah,
do
but
it like an
the
esoteric.
thing I'm
type of-
describing is a little bit more. What do you call it? Like, oh, you've done some research here. But then when the existentialism is like it's like out in the forefront. Like, see, now I'm going to bring this to the table. These
Yeah.
guys can't do that. And if they try, it's very poor.
Yeah.
And it's contradicting to what they said earlier.
Well, usually academics split them up, right? Not academics as in people, but as in the institution
I understand.
of that split them up. Like, oh, you're an archaeologist, but you study this specific field in
Yeah,
archaeology.
yeah.
Then this guy
I got it.
loses connection with this thing.
Yeah.
All right, let's continue.
Also, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that there will be such an increase in musical instruments, and Muslims will make it lawful even though it is forbidden, the use of musical instruments.
Even that, I'm not going to take that literally. Yeah. What does that mean? The
Yeah,
use of musical instruments.
If I read that literally, that's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard.
Yeah.
In the practice of spirituality, music is almost essential. It's hard to even call music because you could be a prisoner, and you can just hear like water dripping from the ceiling, like. Now you're like, there's something going on. There's a rhythm going on in life.
That shank
So
they were-
music is beyond music itself.
The
So I
shank
can't,
they're originally going to use, it's like,
so for me, that can't get left out. And also, in a metaphorical way, I'd have to think about it to find a
Again,
metaphor
translation.
for a musical instrument. Yeah,
what's being translated. So that's why that's why I didn't mean to go on for like 15 minutes, but my point was, are you going to be like an honest like person and really like let's really fucking look into the history of this book or these scriptures or this language being interpreted in this way, or you could be a dishonest asshole, almost like Sam Harris. See,
what if
they
that
don't
was,
want you to play the drums.
what if that was like a trick just left in there?
What?
It's like let's see how much they really know about spirituality. Music is bad. No more musical instruments.
Well,
Let's see
if
they buy
if
this
they were
shit.
the people I would hope them to be, they wouldn't be doing tricks like that. The only trickery that would be done is I wouldn't even call it trickery. It's more of a I'm gonna bring you the pieces, but you got to build the temple. Meaning,
Oh, you leave it.
here's an analogy. It's
Metaphor.
up to you.
Yeah.
There you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Rather than I'm gonna trick him every chance he gets. He'll get wise. It's like no, you don't do that. Don't do that.
All right, let's continue.
It has been forbidden by the Prophet. Some Muslims will make it lawful. And there are many people who are saying it's allowed, even though it is very clearly mentioned in Sahih Bukhari, the most authentic collection of hadith. And this is mentioned here. This hadith.
All right. So, obviously from the video, right? I'm not like not watching the video. Point is like I'm looking as if like, what's being said here in the imagery in the video. It's like do you think this is literal, buddy?
Especially with that one.
Yeah, with like
Of
like
course.
a rave.
Of course he shows a rave rather than a guy like, his dad passed away and he wrote a song, he's playing it on acoustic guitar. Why don't you show that if instruments are so bad?
Yeah.
Or whatever.
They're neutral, man.
So,
So it's like odd.
yeah.
As far as if you can look at that, like, right? I'm trying to look at it as if like, okay, what did that truly mean? But also what's being presented to me, Oh, you're being literal here. That's stupid.
That makes me think it's an interpretation issue.
Sure.
I
But it's
can't
also,
see I can't see any human banning playing a musical instrument.
Oh.
I don't see that happening.
It really makes me think, like, what does that really mean?
Yeah. Or how is it really interpreted?
Yeah.
where the Prophet predicted that the people will make it lawful even though the Prophet made it unlawful, and it's come true. Just as the Prophet Muhammad, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, said. Also, he mentioned there will be an increase in sexual promiscuity. Even though Islam is a religion that teaches chastity, that a man and a woman should confine themselves to marriage, the Prophet
They should confine themselves to love, not marriage.
Well, actually, people
Love is the marriage.
people
actually.
should, regardless of whatever you prefer. Point
Yeah.
is, those are the things I watch out for.
Yeah, when they
That's
start
a good way to control people.
and people, if you let's say
Attempt
you're a
to.
Muslim and you're listening to this,
Mhm.
my understanding of human spirituality is they're always going to break away from that, even if chastity and the just man and woman, wife, husband and wife thing, even if that's their preferred way, ultimately they will break away from that because in order to understand something, it was as far as the ego goes
Mhm.
of understanding and knowing something, the ego wants experience to prove that.
Mhm.
So they might break away from these ideas in order for their ego to experience, like, oh, okay, this just one wife, man and husband marriage was the right way to go. I need to experience this shit that I don't really like in order to say that this is the right way. And that's for the on the surface ego conditioned type people. That's my assessment of that.
Like,
That they'll,
consideration.
if a person doesn't know themselves, they'll naturally break away until they find themselves,
Oh yeah.
or at least a little tiny slice
Well,
of
right. You
themselves.
could consider like what Tessarian calls the inauthentic man, right?
Yeah.
This will make me happy. Gets a Ferrari. I got to hide from that, but nothing. Like, nope. They'll keep going. They'll keep going, and usually that's why people like perceive it to be like throughout time someone will achieve this idea of knowing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to call it the idea. Well, no, it is an idea because it's their perception of what it takes.
Mm-hmm.
This idea of knowing is right. It's going to take time. Like, no, it takes experiences, regardless of whether it was in a day or 5 years or 10 years or 20.
Well, for the ego, it takes time because the ego is based
You know what I
in
mean.
time. Ego literally creates time. So the ego
So that's an experience.
has to have time in order to know something, truly know something.
Experiences, though.
Yeah, it's time.
All right.
Same thing. Things change. It's essentially saying
I
time
got you.
changed. All right, let's continue.
Trying to be very
The Prophet said
specific.
there will be an increase in sexual promiscuity, and I don't think anyone can deny that that is the state of the world today, with highly sexualized images and even traditional societies that normally had a good traditional moral values. For example, like India, even
Let me pause right there. I think this was always going on even back then. It just happened in their imaginations rather than externally where everyone can see it.
Mhm.
Now, I don't think it was like as many people as like a percentage. I don't think it's as many as today to where they're just whatever you want to call it, sexual freedom or promiscuity,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it. But you can't discount the internal universe or whatever word you want to put on it. Just like the murder thing, right? Like, yeah, there's ISIS guys out there with weapons, and there's, school shooting guys out there with actual weapons shooting people, and soldiers out there shooting people.
Yeah, yeah.
But there's people also committing those type of crimes within their own minds.
It's even this, right?
Just like the sexual
Yeah.
promiscuity.
Like the other day, we were listening to the Nicholas Cruz guy.
Mm-hmm.
As far as like him being interrogated, interviewed, etc. Or
Yeah.
even like him talking to his brother. It's like, oh, you committed these crimes against yourself a long time ago, haven't you?
Yeah.
So, right? That needs
In
to
a way
happen.
against others, too.
Well, sure.
In his mind, I'm saying.
But I would say that has to happen first.
So what has to happen first?
Like the
Oh, it has to happen in their minds first before they carry it out externally.
internally. That needs to happen internally.
Yeah. The bad idea has to be there and allowed to
Even that, right?
remain empty.
It's like, he didn't look. He's happy. Listen, asshole. Just because he says that he doesn't hate himself doesn't mean that shallow idea isn't floating around, or it's grown roots into whatever he perceives himself to be. The conscience,
Wow.
or what have you.
I don't look at bad ideas as anything that can grow or anything like that.
Think of it perception.
I look at it as good things are moving out of the way.
like this. I don't feel anything. Ooh, imagine like a cloud, blocks the sunlight. just there, as opposed to it being like every now and then just, withers away. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, this thing's staying here. Oh, you make it go away.
Yeah.
It's gonna take you to do it,
I look at it differently,
Like, don't wait.
prospectively.
Don't wait till the day changes. It's not going away,
All right, let's continue.
And in India, for example, promiscuity is becoming more and more common, hardly than it ever was before. Even in Muslim countries where the whole idea of sexual promiscuity is so against the teachings of Islam, it is unfortunately becoming more and more common. And the Prophet Muhammad said that because of this, diseases would appear that people had never heard of before. Isn't that the case? AIDS, for example, diseases that people had never heard of before will arise due to sexual promiscuity.
Or the
No.
CIA.
I was gonna say that. Point is, this is something I don't know.
This one would
I'm not
be
gonna take it literal.
Yeah. This one, well, you can sort of read it metaphorically, but this one seems more like a concrete physicality. There will be disease after this thing happens.
Quite possibly.
So it's too wishy-washy. Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know how these types of diseases come about, but
Right. This is why I always consider, who interpreted this. Where are they,
yeah,
where are they from? Where are they associated with? It matters, right? Because there's an idea out there that Rome, like politicians in Rome,
yeah,
like doctored the Bible or whatever scriptures were written in there as a means to control people and then redistribute it.
yeah.
So it's that's not that fucking hard to imagine that this is the same shit.
Very possible. Especially after they might have mastered it way back then using the Christian, right? Because he's saying 1400 years ago, Muhammad prophesied these things. So it's like, 1400 years ago, what's that? In the 7th or 6th century?
Something like that.
It's like, well, Christianity's in the 2nd or 1st century as far as their books are
Yeah.
concerned.
Think like this though. I believe I read this somewhere. I don't know if it's true or not, but just right, the idea of it, I can fucking see that. The idea of you'll burn in hell, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it was put in there, or being represented in such a way where it's going to be based off of fear mongering.
Yeah.
It's fairly new from what I heard. I could be wrong, but even then, look at that. Oh, it's fairly recent. If it's the way I think it is, within the last couple hundreds of years.
Yeah.
You'll burn in hell for this. It's like, huh? See, we do this to make sure that they stay in line.
Yeah.
Hey guys, imagine
Obedience.
fucking emperors. You think they're not gonna fucking mess with this shit to make you fucking stay in line? You know what I mean? So now they're doctoring something that was never meant to keep you in in line. You know what I mean? Imagine a book of wisdom with a bunch of philosophy. It's someone who's like, I know the difference. I'm gonna write everything as far as it's gonna come out externally into this book. It'll be up to you to decipher whatever you want to do, and someone just starts altering it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna use this to control people, ignorant people. Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
So it's the true forms of it's needle in a haystack. You know what I mean?
Let's continue.
And this has taken place just as the Prophet Muhammad predicted, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He mentioned that women will be naked although they are dressed. The dress of some women today, which in all but means
Dress of some women. He's like this. He's like. Someone texted him. It's someone that's a girl he likes. Do you like my dress? Puts it down. Listen, I'm not gonna take that literal. I'm not.
That could be a metaphor.
I don't think booty shorts are a crime.
No, they're neutral.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's all about intention.
Now, as far as the word naked, right? That's interesting.
Yeah, that could be read as spiritually naked.
That's what I'm going towards. Yeah.
Yeah. You have no content
Sure.
attached to your soul.
Right. Even with the Adam and Eve story, right? Oh. You guys were ignorant, and then you realized you were naked. You know, let me take
Yeah.
that away. Your bliss, well, perceived, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ignorance is bliss, right? I'm naked. So are you. Is that an animal? They're dead. Ah!
Or even
Then-
it could symbolize like personas covering up the true
Oh,
self.
sure. Right? Their perceived heaven turns out like it's gone. Like,
Right.
the idea of it's gone. Fucker.
The emperor has no clothes.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah. A little metaphor. Let's continue.
Is nakedness. With the clothes that are so tight, they describe every shape of the body, which this technology did not exist to make those type of clothes in the time of the Prophet. Yet the Prophet
And NFL athletes are like, no.
Yeah, I know.
You start seeing them wear you start seeing them wear like those fucking New York jackets in the winter.
Yeah. If you're trying
NFL
to
combine.
if you're trying to stay celibate until you're married, and there's girls around in like tight outfits or whatever, if you move, that's on you. Should it not be on you? I think it should be on the individual.
Sure.
If you're claiming like you want to be celibate until marriage, like that's on you. That's your fault.
Yeah.
Straight up. In fact, you should accept it as like a test. Like, oh, I say no to that. I'm waiting for the right one to show up.
Yeah.
Let's continue.
The argument of indulging is an interesting one.
What?
So the argument of indulging is an interesting one.
I guess. All right, let's continue.
It's like, I don't want to admit I'm wrong here. No, see, it's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see. Pick up your bricks. Let's see what you do. Dance. I'm just kidding. All right.
Muhammad is describing how this nakedness amongst the women will become prevalent. And also the Prophet mentioned that there will be shouting in the mosques, something that is prohibited in Islam, and it's something that I have witnessed myself. And also the Prophet said the worst and the most ignorant people will become the leaders. And really, I have to say, if we look at some of the world leaders today, even of some of the superpowers, it
Oh, I should let him finish. My bad.
seems as if what the Prophet said about the worst and most ignorant people becoming leaders seems to have taken place exactly as the Prophet Muhammad said.
I think that's sort of always the case. Ignorant
Oh,
leaders.
unfortunately.
Their leadership led to the leadership we have now, so I think
It's like building blocks, you know.
if someone figured it out in a righteous way, a super righteous moral way, it's like, how did we end up in what we have now? Unless they kill that dude, they banish all his records from history, and they make sure no one hears about this guy existed. But yeah, I don't.
Well, it's odd, right? If you look at history, now is the truth. It's all evidence of. It's all stuff. Yeah. Right, historical facts or whatever have you. You know, I don't like using that word. I'm just gonna call it historical evidence.
Mhm.
Evidence that's gonna point me to what probably most likely happened back then, as far as the society, right, or a ruling class, culturally, etc. Right. All looks very similar. Ignorant assholes with power or money are always on top.
That's why they make
People and the rest, and they suffer too. But you know, people who are basically have little to no power always suffer. But everyone suffers in the end. So
and it leads to terms like, "Oh, power corrupts," or
it's like no,
absolute power corrupts absolutely. It's like, no. First of all, that's not real power.
no.
What these fucking politicians and kings and Caesars and tribe leaders,
Emperor.
emperors, all these fucking people. It's like, no. They don't have real power.
It's like imagine a man, right?
They're a flicker in history.
That's what this would should be. Like it's a man being represented as an idea. It's like, hey guys, gradually go to the best idea and go with that. Okay. Let's say there's like, you know, unlimited amount of steps as far as perception goes, right? It's like 1, 2, stop. Just stays there for about like, you know, who for God knows how many years, you know. Like emperors, king, political party, president.
Yeah.
Well, we have iPhones. That's the difference. We're smarter. We know better.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you guys are like, we can brush our teeth and shit, but
Yeah.
that's about it.
So I don't believe in the whole power corrupts thing.
No.
I think it's people with already left empty spaces within their own minds that they haven't investigated. That's why they're fucking empty. And then all of a sudden the scenario pops up in front of you that you never considered, and
It's no different than
just turn you on.
money's the root of all evil. It's like, no, that's stupid.
Yeah.
That's dumb. Dumb.
Let's continue.
Because that's true. Here, hey, you know what? Might as well give me all your money. You can't handle it. Let me help you, bro. I'm just fucking around.
Let's continue.
Also, he mentioned that a man will obey his wife and disobey his mother, something really contrary to the teachings of Islam.
That
He
can
will
be
rather
interpreted in
listen
many
to
ways
his-
as well.
Yeah.
What does the father mean? What does the mother mean?
Mommy nature?
You know what I mean? Masculine, feminine. You could go further. It's all going to be like somewhat dictated as far as interpreting what that means, what specific words. Like within that alone, right? There's a bunch of things that could be interpreted differently, right? Wait, go back. What does that say? Also, he mentioned that a man will obey his wife and disobey his mother.
Yeah.
So like it's interesting, right? Because someone had to interpret those words, singular, each of them individually,
Mm-hmm.
or at least attempt to. So it's like this could mean something else.
Yeah,
This could
I would
mean
know what it
something-
meant to me. I would understand that completely. But,
I'm just saying though,
yeah, let's continue.
mother, something really contrary to the teachings of Islam. He will rather listen to his friends than listen to his father. And this is something that we find happening in the Muslim world, even though this is so against the teachings of Islam.
You should
already
always
have it.
look for the best idea. Doesn't matter who it comes from. Well, it should be coming from you. That's what learning is. It's you teaching yourself using the content that's provided or you make up on your own. There's a little separation between content and, I would say, context in a way. Right? The individual and the content that they're observing or absorbing.
Men will wear gold and silk and they will make it lawful, even though the Prophet has made it unlawful. People will abandon the religion of Islam for a small worldly gain. And keeping onto the religion will be like holding two hot coals. I am mentioning all of these things, and there are many, many more things that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ mentioned. But these are some of the small signs concerning the events that will take place before the last day. And as we can see, these things that I have gone through, almost without exception, they have come true in a way that is so clear and so obvious and so apparent.
Not literally.
All right.
I would say not to take this literally.
Yeah.
It's like
These things are too vague, man. Like, there's
Yeah.
going to be ignorant leaders. People are going to interpret words wrong.
Right now, this whole concept.
Women are going to wear
yeah.
tight clothes or something. It's like,
that's too much. That's too shallow on the surface, fundamental.
yeah.
You know what I mean? To me, it's just as bad, right? Like, I'm no atheist. I'm definitely not a fundamentalist as far as religion goes. Definitely not. The point is, right, I can tell you how they're both silly because they're both taking something literal.
Yeah.
As far as taking a step back, as as yourself, just you, and asking yourself, well, what does that mean? What does this really mean? Well, who am I?
Yeah.
That happens, and then it's like the process of like looking around, right? Like, what does this mean here? Which is why, right? Analogy, flowery language, metaphors, etc. Like that itself, right, will be like more. How could I say this? Could become more apparent to you as far as I see what this means. Rather than, yep, hate gays. Gotta kill them.
Yeah.
I'm
You
being
have
a little
to.
silly there, but you get what I mean.
You have to bring yourself when you're observing. Well, you should bring yourself everywhere, but really with these religious texts, you should definitely bring yourself along for the ride. What?
Something wrong with your shirt, Jordan. It appears that your genetics are taking over. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you have to bring yourself. You have to. I mean, if you're a piece of God, if God created man, right, and you're ensouled with something of God, then you should bring that part with you when you're reading things about God. That seems like it would be the deciphering thing, right?
Sure, but even as far as right, the greater representation turns out to be you, buddy, you.
Well, you could do this as an experiment. Try reading it as if you're the sole interpreter, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, all the rabbis and teachers and preachers and whoever they all retire and go away. And they say, don't bother me. I'm not talking to you people.
No, it's like literally like this.
Let's say that happens. Yeah. Like, well, it's like, all right, you have to step up now. What do these things mean?
Right.
Try to interpret it through your personal lens. Seriously. Not just, what do I think God means by this? What do you mean by this?
Yeah.
If it was you writing this, what would you mean by this?
It's very similar to, right? Like, as far as anybody, that hasn't done this, the unexamined life.
Yeah.
It would always have to start out with, right, like, what do I know? You know what I mean? So, like, when someone's like, all right, I'm going to hand you this book, and that's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you're going to tell me what this means, and I'll grade you on it. No. I'll be like, here, take it.
Maybe even more importantly would be, what don't you know?
Well, right.
I think that would be the first question.
Well, the idea of, right, like, well, okay, what don't I know? That's probably what's going to be your first stop, Like,
yeah.
What do I know? Okay, what don't I know? You'll know that.
Maybe.
I don't know that you're a piece of shit, but...
I think for the ego perspective, don't know would be the best route to go.
Yeah.
It gets out of the way. It's just like, no. Okay, I can't quite move this fucking thing out of the way. Oh, there's my no right there. There's my known. There's my knowledge. All right, that's it from us, guys. Yeah, guys, recommend more videos. We will react to them. We don't care what fucking topic it is, unless it's pure troll shit. If it's pure troll shit and it's not funny, you're not getting a video. So, yeah, any topic, guys, please let us know. We will react to it. Please subscribe if you feel like. Always comment, agree, disagree. If you have a better, in your mind, a better translation of like text of what he's talking about, or better context of what this guy's talking about, or other religious stuff that you can, correlate with other religious books, that'd be cool. Let us know in the comments section. Links, videos, whatever. Leave it in there. Please donate to Devon's Journey to Recovery. The link is in the description box, and the website is in the intro to this video with metric plan. Ta-da, cha-cha-cha-cha. And with that said,
dance.
Please give this video
Dance.
a thumbs down.
Say you wanna get in, and then you wanna get out. When you get the money to buy yourself a car.